Okay. So let's continue. I've started recording it now.
Okay.
So I was talking about the user persona, and I wanted us to do something different. Let's not use that old one. That one is not detailed, but we might use it eventually if we don't see a better one. Seems like there are no better ones here, so I'll just use it. Okay, okay. I'm seeing better ones now. Let's see this one. It's almost the same thing, I think. They're almost the same thing.
Okay.
They're almost the same thing, but we'll just continue with this. I think we'll just continue with this old one. Let's use this one. Let's use this one.
Okay.
Anytime this one comes up, we'll just use it. Oh, okay. Now this is demography, like the data about the person. Now this one, like I said, is the story about this person, like a story that relates to what you want to build. You just don't come and start telling the person's life story, how the person went to secondary school, it's not every story that you tell. The major story you want to tell is a story related to the problem you want to solve. So for instance, the research I showed you was a research about waste disposal. And now we will now try to connect everything about that waste disposal and put it into a story. So for instance, here what this person said is Ali is a line cook who lives in a small city and mostly works in the evening. Now you notice this evening, this person intentionally puts that evening there so that you will know the time, like it's a general time. For instance, in our own case we can say, let's say Mary is a now from that 41 years old, you now know from our age range that is 20 to 44. You can say, okay, Mary is mother a mother of two kids, like is a mother with two kids. But if you notice now, most of the waste disposal was at home. So you can now say, with that knowledge, you say Mary is a mother of three kids who likes to dispose her waste every day. You now say, okay, this one during the daytime, Ali goes on coding camp for 3 to. You can now say, um, she likes to burn her waste, because that is what we got from the data. You now say she usually likes to burn her waste. However, she is not able to do so because she does not live in a compound. She does not live in a big compound that can allow her burn her waste. You can now say another, what other things did we get from the data? Now from the data we can now come back to it and say, um we can come back to it and say, okay, because now if you notice that they said most of them say they don't need assistance. You can now say she usually does not need assistance. You can now say um does not need assistance to dispose her waste. However, on days when she is extremely tired, she needs someone who can help her dispose her waste. So now you have given them the key information. The first one is that it is household waste. You've also told them and they like disposing it every day. You also told them that they don't usually need assistance, but on special occasions they might need assistance. So this is just a way of like trying to like coin your story to represent the data you got from your user research. When you are done with that, you can now add something like just look at your data and then find the key things that should be in your biography. So when you are done with that in your biography, just a little story, you now come to talk about the goals, talk about the frustration. So you notice that the goals of this person is being able to get rid of their wastes without polluting the environment. Another goal you can get from the data is that because they like disposing their waste every day. What does that tell you? It tells you some of these things they will not tell you directly. That's why it's a user research. They will not tell you directly what they want, but from the data, from analyzing the data, you will see, okay, this is what these people want. So from the goals here for this waste disposal is they don't like their waste to be in their house. So the goal is to make sure that there are no wastes within their household, that they don't leave any waste inside their house. That's one goal. Another goal is to make sure that they dispose their waste in an environment friendly manner. And then we can still go back to our research. We can still go back to our research and find out other goals. You can by scanning through, you can find out other goals. Okay, let's say, okay, now they said, what is the most important factor that influence your choice of waste disposal? So maybe you can find a goal from here. This person said location of disposal, location. So that means if it is far from their homes, they will just want to go and burn it around. So if the place that, because most times society, some places used to have where they dispose waste. So if for instance the place is very far from their house, they might not want to dispose the waste. But if you can give them, if for instance, because we're not in a place where the government is really working, if for instance it's in a place where the government is working, you just keep your waste outside and they will come and pick it, and in that case you see that they will not have need to burn it. The reason why they burn waste is because it is close to their house. So now you see that location is a very important factor. So it should enter. You have to find a way of putting it in your goals, a close location. So the goal is, one, disposing their waste every day so that they keep their household clean. You also notice that another goal is to dispose to for the goal, like for the waste disposal to be in a closed location. That's why, if you notice, that's why most of them burn their waste. But if the waste where they can dispose the waste is close to their house, they will not be burning the waste. So another thing is availability of waste disposal implements, which is something similar to that location. I can't keep waste around me. That's why I need to dispose it outside and then burn completely at weekends. This is the available means in which I can use. So everybody's talking about availability. How available is the waste disposal mechanisms to them. So now you see, this other person say there is no dump site in my area, so I incinerate or bury deep waste. Choice depends on the nature of the waste matter. The public pit, which is being provided by the community authority, it is far from the road and is rare for waste vehicles to enter the streets. Are you seeing it? Like, people want, like, they want the waste disposal to be close to them. If for instance all these vehicles that used to come close to them, they can be able to dispose their waste without burning and polluting the environment. So either throwing inside bush or burning it. Okay, so now we now have about how many goals. So we have this person has 3 goals. So we want to have like 3 to 4 goals. So our first goal is to dispose waste every day. The second goal The second goal is to make sure there is no debt within their household, to keep their household clean. Now the third goal is to dispose their waste in the closest place possible, like in the closest place possible. That is the goal. So with these three goals, we can now go to frustration. So frustration is, you look at the data, you notice, okay, what is the most painful? Like, when somebody is talking to you, you can feel their pain. So now, from the data you already have there, you now know, okay, what do you think these people are most pained about? And if you notice, what they are most pained about is the fact that the government is not doing anything to bring waste disposal close to them. So you can say a frustration, you can say, for one of the frustration, okay, let's use the example of what this person said here. Sometimes I have trouble finding an adequate workspace at the coffee shop. If you notice something, it's, you say the frustration in the words of the user. You don't just like write anything, like say it as if it's the person that is talking to you. So for instance, for this waste disposal, I can say something like, I like burning my waste because no waste disposal vehicle comes close to my area. Or you say, I like disposing my waste in the closest means possible, because in the closest place possible, because the waste disposal site is very far from my home. Okay, just, or you can say, the waste disposal site is far from my home, and it makes it difficult for me to dispose waste appropriately. Just say something that can like make people understand that this person is pained. So you can do it for the first one, we've gotten one. Then the second one, you can just find something and say, and pick, just be strategic and pick out the major problem and put it in the user's words. That's the major thing for this frustration. So now that we are done with let me check if Mary has sent the file. Okay, she has not sent it yet, so we'll just have to decide which of them we are going to. So with this user persona, we have learned about user persona and the major things that needs to be in a user persona. The next thing we are going to now be looking at is, I would have said we should design this, but we'll have to do that in our free time and submit it. So it has to be part of the assignment. So what we are going to be going straight to now is, we are going to go straight to redesigning screens, like, because Mary's screens are not available. I would have wanted us to use Mary's screens to practice some certain things, but because it is not available, let me check my email and see if she has sent it. Because it is not available, what we'll be going straight to is just redesigning screens in our own. I think this network is actually slow, because while I wait for the email to open up and we'll check it, let's just go straight to designing redesigning some screens in Figma, so that we learn some basic principles about designing. So we are going to be, okay, we're just going to look for basic Figma tutorial. Okay, Figma designs. Let me see the simplest screens possible so that we can go through it. Okay, so we are going to use this one that is here. I think this screen nice. I don't think it's nice enough. I like this one. Looking for better screens. I was looking for simple screens that will use to show the things you're doing. Maybe we'll just have to use the first one. Let's try and I don't want to use complex. I don't want to teach us with complex design because it's not advisable to start designing from with big start using gradients, start using, you have to start from the basics, and with time you can now start the gradients and all of those big ones. But the basic things are the things you should learn first when you're designing. So maybe we should just go straight ahead. We should just go straight with okay. I'm confused the one to use now, but we'll just use something. We'll have to use something. Let's use this one that we brought out before and just find a way to make it better. Let's find a way to make it better. That's the major thing. But I don't like the design at all. It's looking very scattered. Okay. So we open. I don't know if we know how to, because I'm afraid. Let me check. Okay. Waiting for our design to come up so that we'll start replicating the screens.
Okay.
So just be redesigning these screens. Now if you want to remove the ruler here, you just come to this corner of the design and go to view, then remove, go to, because here now the ruler is on tick, just click on it to remove the ruler so that you can be seeing what you're doing. This one has auto layout. You can come here, click on it and close the eye of the auto layout so that you don't see it. So yeah, we'll now go ahead to start designing. So if you notice, this is what we call a splash screen. So a splash screen is usually the first screen you see on your design. So you will notice there is usually a splash screen, the first thing you see when you open an app, and then they will now ask you, oh, do you want to log in, or do you want to create account? So all these things, the first things here is what they call a splash screen. So we are going to go ahead to start designing it now. Like I said in our first video, when you want to create a design, the first thing you do is to I will just copy this and bring it to one side. The first thing you do is to create a frame, a blank frame. So you come to this third part of the design and then click on it. You can use your hand and draw the design, but most times I prefer to come down here and click on Android large. So if you click on Android large, a screen will appear here. So now you don't need to like make any changes to this frame. Just use it like that. And then another thing, the next step you take, please do not forget, anytime you're designing, just make it a habit to add layout grid to your screen, because if you don't add layout grid, you will not be able to like make it to align properly. That's something I wanted to point out to Mary in her design. And I noticed that her design was very okay, but she kind of wasn't able to like make use of grids and make some of her work aligned, like. And I don't think she used um um auto layout or frames for her buttons. So the first thing you should do when you create a blank frame is to come to this side of the right side of your properties, your right bar, and click on layout grid to add a layout. And most times, for a starter, what you should do is to come here and come to these 9 boxes and change it from grid to columns. So if you notice, once I change it from grid to columns, I have like 5 here. Then you come to where there is 5 and change it to 4, because that's the standard practice for mobile apps. And then you come to the margin and add 24. Just be using these values I'm giving you, 24, 4 and 24 for your layout grid. Make sure that before you start designing that you have it in your layout grid. So now I will click on enter, and then the next thing I will do is I'll come back to that ruler. Just, you can remember how to expand your screen. Either you come here, now it's in 90, you come here and make it either 50 makes it smaller, or you come here and make it 100, or you just click on control and minus to reduce it, or control in your keyboard, control and minus if you want to reduce, then control and plus if you want to increase it. So now you increase it so that you see what you are working on very well, so you focus on what you are working on. And now I want to add ruler in my header, so I'll just come back to this main menu, click on view, come to view, don't click on it, just hover around it, then click on rulers. So now with this you can drag it. I like to drag it. If you notice, it will be showing you, just be following that line, you'll be seeing how far from the beginning of that screen your line is. So here now it is 24, 23. I want mine to be in 32, so I'll keep it at 32. What I'm doing with that 32 is that's where I'm going to put all those your Wi-Fi and the rest of that. It will enter here. So now that I'm done, I want to start designing. So the first screen I want to start designing with is this particular one. You will notice there is a color here. Now you want to change the color of your screen to the screen we are trying to redesign. So I'm going to click on that frame, come to fill, and click on, because this is white, you might not see it, you just click on there is a box here, you just click on it. Now because you already have the color you want to work with, what you will do is come to this place where there is something like a pencil. It's called the picker tool, like the color pick. So you just click on it, and you see, once you direct it to your screen, you will see that it's moving around. So you just click on whatever color. If it's this color I want, if it's the blue color I want, I'll just click on it. But because I don't want blue, what I'll do is click on this particular one and you notice that automatically the color will come to your screen. If you want to change it, still go back to the picker tool and come here and click on the blue one. So now what we want to use is black one. We just want to replicate exactly what is in our screen. So we've done that, and there is a test here. It said good, so let's just go with the good travel test. So I'm going to add test to my screen. So what will I do now? I'll come back here to the up to the toolbar above here. Come to the where there is T. That's where you can get your test. Click on it and then type a test. If you notice, check the size of your test here. The size is 76. We might want to reduce it to like 64 or 70. Use 70. So I'm going to just type good. I'm going to just type good travel. I lost it. Just type good, enter, travel. So now what is the best way to, because when you are designing, you want to make sure your designs are centered. So when, if you notice it was here, you want it to be at the center, you drag it until you see a line at the middle that is showing you that you are the center. But now the best way to do this is, if you click on it, you come to the right properties. I taught us what what you use these places for. So you come to the right here and you come to this top after the design. You come to this top place, and if you hover around it, you notice that it's align left, align horizontal centers. So I'm going to align horizontal center. It's going to make it to be at the middle of my frame horizontally. You want it to be aligned vertical, which is the second to the last one. You click on it, you notice it's moved up. So now this particular test is at the perfect center. Like, it is at the perfect center. Because why I'm saying this is, when you are designing anything, make sure it is aligned. Like, it is even if you don't know any other thing in design, and you know how to align stuffs, like you know how to align your things, it's going to, like, you are going to be better off than people that don't know how to align. Because aligning your text makes it look presentable before we start talking about whether it is fine or not. So make sure, if you can, instead of dragging it around and dragging it and trying to know where is the perfect center, or where, what you just do is come to this place and align it. If you hover around it, notice that this one align horizontal center, it comes to the center. If it is vertical center, it goes to the perfect center of that frame. So next thing we are going to do is to change the color of this travel. What you do is double click on the text. It will highlight. You can use your cursor to highlight it by yourself by dragging it. Just click on, make sure when the arrow is, when you can see the arrow, just drag that cursor to highlight the text. So now I'm going to now come back here and change the color. If you notice, FFF is like white. So you're going to click, don't click on the test. Don't click on the FFF test or whatever test is here. What you will click on is the boss beside it. There is a boss, because you can't see the boss here. When I change the color, I'll show you the boss I'm talking about. There is a boss beside the test. So you click on that boss and change it to any color. So now I'm going to be using the color pick tool, like I told us earlier. I'm going to be using this color pick tool. What this color pick tool does for you is to, like, choose any color that is already in your in the screen you are designing from. So if, for instance, is this green color I want to add here, I'm going to click on the color picker tool and hover around it. Once you get the color you want, you just click on it. But I'm not sure that's what they used. But let's use this color because I think I prefer this color. So we are going to use it. Once you are done, you come here and close these options here. Okay, so now our first screen is ready. So we are going to be going to the next screen, which is this one. We want to redesign tutorial 4. So what's the next thing you will do? Remember, The next thing you do, you want to work with a blank screen. So you are going to come back here again, click on it, and come to Android large. It will give you another different screen. So you drag it to wherever you want to place it. Come here and keep it. So now remember how to rename your screen. It's good to it's advisable to rename your screen. So you come here, just double click here and rename it to screen 1. Come to this one and rename it to screen 2. Screen screen 2. So again, you notice our screen is now empty. The next step again, like I said earlier, is to add your layout grid. I know what I'm saying. I'm emphasizing on this layout grid because I don't want like to teach any of my students that I'm teaching and you don't know how to use layout grid. Like, you have to learn, just learn it, how to use layout grid. In fact, I think from now I'll even start using the layout grid pattern, these small boxes, because it will help you. Like I will always emphasize, even if you don't know what you're designing, make sure you're following the basic principles of alignment and positioning, and making sure you are just follow this basic principle. Make sure that you have a layout grid. So most times if you open a layout grid, this is the first thing you see, the small boxes. What am I going to do? I'm going to change these small boxes to 8, because 8 is the standard. This place where there is size, the size is 10. I'm going to change it to 8 and I'm going to click on enter. Now if I want to achieve this 1 2 3 4, the four layout grid I told you about, you go back to the layout grid again, click on plus. Now you are going to have 2 grids. So if you notice, it's going to be like showing us the small grid. You come here and change it from grid to columns. It's still layout grid, forget the names they call it. There are 3 types here. There is the columns, the grid, and the rows. So the two I'm going to be using is grid and column. So I've used the grid in the first one. If you want to remove it, just come here and click on the I button. You will not see it again. But I have the first one, which is the small grid, and the second one, which is the column. And I remember I told you I will change it to 4. Change it to the count to 4. Click on enter, and then give it a margin. Make sure you give it a margin. Now what you do with that margin is that make sure that anything that you are designing should not enter this space, like this margin, this 24 margin, close it. And this 24 margin, anything you are designing must be inside this 1 2 3 4 lines. Like, it should not pass the line. Okay, it should not pass this line. So now what we are going to be redesigning is this second screen. Let me bring it down so that we can see it. This particular one, Control D. Sorry, I'm going to bring it down here so that it will be close to me and we'll be seeing what we are doing. So next thing I'm going to do after the layout grid is to change the color. I'll click on my, now if you notice something, I just clicked on, so instead of going to the color, just another way of getting this picker tool is by clicking on I on your keyboard. So that's what I did now. I didn't go to the color, but I have the picker tool. So what I'm going to do is just click on I. Once you click on if you click on I again, you remove it, but just click on I'll get the picker tool, letter I. So now I'm going to pick this color. I have the color here. Now you'll be wondering, how did this person get this illustration? Like, how did they get this illustration? So I'm not going to be using this one they have here. I'm going to be using a different one. If you notice, this is a travel app. So there is an illustration here. This illustration is showing us a bus. It's showing us a plane and a card to pay. So it's showing us that we want to travel, which is signified by the bus. Then you can travel by any the means of transport is like plane, and then the card is like the payment pattern. So what I'm going to do is now something like I taught us in the first class, like something we call a plugin. A plugin is like a resource, like a list of resources. Okay, it's a list of resources where you can get what people have already done before now. So what I'm going to do is this. Okay, I noticed something. Because the colors of the color we are using for the background is a dark color. We can almost not see the grid patterns, those small boxes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to come back to this my auto layout. I'm going to change the color from red to white. FFF is white, so I'm going to click enter. Oh, it's too much and it's in 100%, so I'm going to change it to like 25% or even 20. So now it's now like tiny, but we can still see the small buses better now. Why I'm using these small buses is the fact that I want to place, let's just go ahead, sha. Let me come to now. How do you get this illustration? That's the next thing we are going to be talking about. How do you get this illustration? I'm going to come here, the seventh item here. You click on it, then you see the first thing you see is components, and the next one is plugins. So I'm going to click on plugins instead of components, the plugins that we want to use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on illustration. Just type illustration, because that stuff you are seeing there is illustration. If you want to type bags instead, or you want to use images, there is splash. Unsplash is for if you want to get images and not illustrations. But now I'm looking for illustrations, so I'm going to click on illustrations. So now just pick any one you want. So I'm going to click on this one and then run it. You have to run it if it's the first time you're using that particular that particular plugin. I'm going to click on run and it's going to open up. Just wait for it to load. So with this, you're going to search travel. Just type travel. There is no results. Let's type bag. No results. So since these people, their resource is limited, what we are going to be using, let's see if, okay, there is bag here. I'm going to use, let me type travel. Okay. Um, okay. I saw one earlier. I would have used that one. Let's check. Let's see. I think this one is better. I think I'll use this one. So when you find the one you want to use, just click on it. We can even decide to use two, because there are two things here. So I'll use the two of them. Oh, the good thing is that you can change the color. Wow, so that's nice. You can change the color of this. So it's like it's a frame. So I'm going to change the color to blue. I'm going to change the color of this one to blue, or even the image of the woman. Let me see if I can change it to blue. I'm going to take my picker tool and come here and use the blue. Okay, let me use this blue. Use this blue. It's not nice. The color is not nice. So I'll just continue. Control Z to remove that. The only color I might want to change is this green. Just click on it, hover around it and click on it, then change the color to probably, I'm probably going to change it to the green that we have here, which is this one. So once I change it, it will reflect. What I will now do is to either, remember how I taught us to resize, because this thing is too big, it cannot enter this our frame. So I'm going to like change it. I'm going to remove Ctrl Z. I'm going to first of all even remove this white color that is here. Change it to transparent. Just make it 0. The transparency, I'm going to make it 0. So now the only thing I have here is this one. No, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl what I want to do is to remove. Okay, so yes, I just drag the container out, so I'll just be having this one. I can now carry it around. I'm going to be carrying it to this design we are making. If you notice, it is too big, like it is bigger than the screen we are designing on. So remember what I told you, like how I told you you can resize. The perfect way to resize your images without changing, distorting it. What you do is just click on K. Once you click on K, you notice that the arrow is now different. So the one thing you can do is to come here and probably just for it is 400, so I'm assuming that if I change it to 200 it will look better, so I'll make it 200. So it's now kind of smaller. I think 200 is too small. Click on my K again and change it to probably 240. Change it to let's say 240. Yes, 240. I think this size is okay. So now we have our own illustration here. Remember how we got this illustration from plugins? We have it here, so we'll just drag it up. Let's assume we don't know the meaning of this text. So the text I'm going to be using, I'll just go back to my text, come here, add a text here, and say welcome to travel by Ray. Where are you going today? Where are you going today? So now, remember what I told you, this, if you notice, this text has gone to one side and it's not what we want. Instead of using your hand to be dragging it around to put it in a perfect place, what you will do, like the best option, is to come back here to this topmost part of your screen, of the right bar, and check align. And what we want to align is at the center. That's how your design will look good. Like don't be dragging it around. Just come to this one is align left. The first one is align left. The second one is horizontal center, and that's the one we want to use. So you click on align horizontal center for it to come to the middle of your design. Okay, so now you notice that it comes to the middle of your design. And so anytime you just finish typing and the shape of whatever you typed changed, just align center to be on a safer side. So now what we typed here is welcome to travel of Ray. Where are you going today? Travel by Ray, sorry. Remember your spacings. By Ray. Where are you going today? Where are you going today? Question mark. Now I'm going to be increasing the size of this text, because if you notice it's too small. Come back to this right and go up. If you don't see the size, it's the text size is 17. So I'm going to change it to 24. Like that's the best size you will use. 24. Okay, I think 24 is too big, so we'll be using 20. If you also want to change the text style you're using, you can come to this place. Instead of enter, I'm going to probably be using Roboto. Let me check. Roboto or Montserrat. Let me use Montserrat. So I'm using Montserrat here, and my size is 20. You can change it from regular to medium so that it will be thicker, just like this one. When you change it from this, now to the most important thing which I wanted to point out in your design, your previous design, to the most important thing which the most important thing now we have to do is to create a button. Now, so many people that don't know about, like, that did not learn the right way to design, when they want to create button, see what they do. They will come here and find rectangle and like place it here, carry rectangle, put it anywhere you want to, and then come and take a text and put it here and just type, let me say button, let me say sign up, sign up. And then when they are done with the sign up, they now make sure that it's at the center. Now make sure it's at the center, and now group it and just say Ctrl G. Like, this particular practice is very bad. Like, if you are doing it, just stop it. Like, it doesn't even make sense, because when you are even trying to drag it, you will not even be dragging the thing well. It will not now be in the center, in the kind center that you want it to be. So what you are rather going to do is this. I'm going to delete this and start from the beginning and show us the right way to create a button. I'm going to delete it. So now, if you want to create a button, the first thing you should do is to write a text. Okay, just come to this text and click and write a text. So for instance, the text I want to write here, the button I want to create is the sign up button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write sign up. That's the first thing you want to do. Sign up. So the first thing you do when you want to create any kind of button is to write sign up. Like, write the text inside that button. That's the first thing you do. Now the next thing is to create an auto layout on that text. What an auto layout? Like, auto layout is like trying to like add that rectangle. Instead of going to draw the rectangle and come and place it on this text, what you do is you want to create a kind of a rectangle, like a background to that particular sign up text that makes it a button. So what you're going to do is like come here and click on shift, like hold your key. Let me come back to sign up. Hold your shift key and A. So you just hold your shift key and then click on A. So shift A. So you notice once you do that, it's as if like there is a rectangle on your sign up text. So now there is a rectangle there. I notice that the right bar has changed. There is something now called an auto layout in your right bar. If you scroll down, you notice that it doesn't have in the field, it doesn't have a color yet. That's why I'm not seeing the color of that rectangle. The first thing I want us to do is to like add a color. Just come to the add button and add a color. The reason why the text disappeared is because the text is also white and the color you added to it is white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my eye and change the color to this blue. So now I have you can see a rectangle surrounding your text and it is in the right position. So you don't have to bother about making sure that the text you wrote is in the center. Auto layout will automatically make your text to be at the center of that rectangle. So you don't have to come and start dragging the text around, and making it to be looking awkward and be looking very weird. So what you just do is type your text and then click on. Do it for any single button you want to create. Now what you now do, click on it. You see that it is kind of not wide. It's not wide enough. So to make it wide, you come here and increase this thing is like the horizontal padding, like the sides of it. That's what makes it bigger, to make it wider. So instead of being 10, I'm going to make it like probably 16. Click on enter. So you notice that it made it wider. And I want to achieve this size that this person that we are using here. What I'm going to do is make it probably 32. 32 is not yet long enough, so I'm going to make it 48. So the more you increase the numbers, the more you have a longer button. So now what is the next thing I will do? If you notice, like I always do, okay, let me change it again to like say 54. Now, like I always do, you not come and start dragging this button around again. Come and start dragging, looking for the perfect place to place it. Again, you just click on it and come to my horizontal centers and make it to be in the perfect center. If you want to drag it up, just click on it and just hold your alt key. Hold the alt key to know the distance between it and this text. I don't want it to be too far from the text. So what I'm going to do is if I click on it, I'll hold my alt key in your keyboard and then go close to that text because I want it to be close to the text. I'm going to go close to the text with my cursor, with my mouse. I'm just going to go close to the text and then I'm going to hold my shift key. Remove your hand from your trackpad, that's from your mouse, and now hold your shift key, your arrow up key in your system. That's that place where there is arrow up, and drag it. So when you just be dragging it up. You can also, if you want to make it to move by 10, like I said, you now be holding 3 keys, which includes the alt, the shift key, and the arrow up key. The alt, the shift, and the arrow up key. It will help you to move it by 10, so it will move faster. So now the space here is 57. I want to make it 54. If you want to now stop increasing by 10 or decreasing by 10, I will remove my hand from the shift. I'm just go move the arrow once. Move it once, 66, 64. So I want to end it at 64. Now if you notice, the corners of this button are rounded. I'm going to come back again, click on it, and come to this place where my arrow is pointing at, is the corner radius, and change it. Here it's at 0 now. So if I want to make it more round, I'm going to change it to, like, give it a value of, let's say, 16. I think 16 is not round enough. I will now use 24. So now it is round enough. Like, it is now round enough. So I have my sign up button. Now instead of, if you want to create another button, instead of it to go back again and start, I think this thing I need to change. I need to still increase the size to like 64. Okay. Now if I don't want to go and start creating another big button from the beginning again, what I'm going to do is just Control D to duplicate the button I created initially. I'm going to now drag it down. Drag it down. Make sure it is closed. Just click on, if you want to check the distance, click on the alt again. The alt, the space between two of them is 20. So I'm going to just move it up like 4 times to get 16. Or let's just move it down to get 24. 1, 2. So the space between them is now 24. I'll come back to my horizontal center and make it to be centered. So now both of them are in the same center. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is remove this color, because if you notice, the second one is, there is no color on the second one. It's only a stroke, like a border around it. So what I'm going to do is to remove the colors. How do you do that? You come here, you scroll down, go to your fields, and either you click on the I button to stop seeing the color, or you click on remove to remove it entirely. So if you click on the I button and it removes and you stop seeing the color, does not mean that there is no rectangle on your sign up, on your test again. There is still a rectangle there, just that there is no color. What you just do is to come and change the stroke. Come down to stroke and add a stroke to it. So here it is black, that's why you're not seeing the stroke. I'm going to change the color of the stroke to white. Just type FFF. Click on enter. So now you can see the stroke. You can change the width of that stroke to like 4. Or sorry, 4 will be too much. I'm going to make it 2. So now we are getting almost the same thing we have here. So we have this here now. We can even change this color to green. Like, you can change, sorry, to yellow. Just like remember how you can do it. Just click on I and then come here and change it to yellow. I don't know if the yellow is better or the firmer color. Maybe I'll just say Control Z. I don't know. Let's use, I don't know if we should use yellow. Maybe you should add the yellow to the girl's hair. Double click, or to the boss. I don't think we should add the yellow. Let's just leave it like this. And now it's remaining this button, these buttons here. What you do again is just to click on your ellipse tool, that's your circle tool, and make sure you have a perfect circle. Remember how I taught us we can create a perfect circle? How do you create a perfect circle? Click on that circle, hold your shift key, and then drag it. This one is, the size is 27. I want to make it smaller to be up to the size of this one. So I'm going to come to my width and change it to, say, 18. So if I change it to 18, it's almost the same size with this one. So the first one will be 18. I'll now do Control D and shift it. Use your arrow key to shift. Once you click on Control D, use your arrow key to shift, so that you will know that it is 2 there. I'm going to change the size here to to like say 12. Then I'm going to do another Control D. So now we have 3 of our buttons. If you notice, these 3 things are not arranged. So how do you arrange it again perfectly so that it's not be looking awkward? How do you perfectly arrange this? Just with this your arrow key, like this your cursor that you can see there, just drag this cursor, drag it. You notice there is a blue stuff. Drag it so that you can select all of them. So you can select everything at once. If you cannot do it on your laptop, what you will do is just come here, hold your shift key on your laptop, click on the first circle, don't remove your hand from the shift key, still hold your shift key, click on the second circle, then come to the third one and click it again. So now you're able to select the 3 of them at once. What's the next thing you will do? Now it's either you use your auto layout. Remember how I told you can remember what we did for the first button? We used auto layout, right? We used auto layout for the first button. So what we are going to do now is we are going to use that same auto layout, because remember what I told you, that auto layout helps you to perfectly align your items. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Shift A. I want to click on Shift A. It didn't do it perfectly well for me. I don't want to go into, okay, if you notice, it's made it to be I don't want to go into this, so I'm just going to like go back, Ctrl Z, so it is no more on auto layout. Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, so it's no more on auto layout. So instead of using auto layout, we'll talk about auto layout later, because it didn't perfectly align it for us, and I don't want us to be confused based on what I have said earlier. So what we are going to do, as you have selected the 3 of them, come back to this your horizontal, your align, and what you are going to click on is vertical center. It's what it's going to do. It's going to make those small ones to be at the center. Going to make them to be at the center, while the big one will be kind of like, just click on vertical center. You understand what I'm talking about? So you notice that with this, they are now in vertical center, and I want to make them to be in the same frame, so that it's not when I finish doing this thing, I will not be dragging it around or something. What I'm going to, if you notice, if I click outside, they will not be appearing as individual. You cannot now drag them together. I want to create something that I can drag. I can drag the 3 of them together. What will I do after arranging them? I can select them again, and then right click and say frame selection. If I don't want to say frame selection, I can still add auto layout. It will still, if either you do frame selection to make all of them to be in the same container, or I'll say add auto layout. Okay, add auto layout. So I'll just say frame selection. So now you notice that I can now drag 3 of them together. Again, I've placed it inside my screen. I'll come here again and say align horizontal center, so that it will be at the center. I'll now hold my Alt key and move it up. Okay, I'll move it up a little bit. If you notice something, the colors here, the colors of the 2 circles are not white, are not pure white. So I'm going to click my eye again, pick my dropper tool, and go directly to the circle, not to the background, and click on it, change the color. Come here again, click on my eye, come here and change the color. So I think we're almost getting to 8 o'clock. So we've been able to design these 2 screens. The remaining of the splash screen is very similar. It's very similar to the first one. So maybe we'll just create this one again. Let's see if there's any other one we can create. Okay, let's create this form, because we'll just quickly create the form and then call it a day. So we are going to create this one. I'm going to come here, click on it and copy it, Ctrl C. Copy it and come here and paste it. I'm done with this one, so I'm going to remove it. I'm going to probably delete it. And then I've copied the other one, so I'm going to do Ctrl V to paste it here. So now this is what we are going to be working on. We are going to be working on this particular screen. what are we going to be doing? Let me remove the rulers. Just click on, if you want to remove the ruler so that you'll be seeing well, delete, 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 or just simply just come back to your files, go to view and remove the ruler so that you will not be seeing this ruler. So now you have seen how this thing is looking like. So we are going to be creating it now. Like, we're going to be creating it now. Once we are done, we're now going to call it a wrap. So I'm going to create an empty frame. Now let me remove this so that we'll be seeing what we designed. Let me remove the layer. Don't come and click on minus. Once you click on this frame, you see that, click on my I click on this screen too, see that there is a layout grid. So I'm going to just, don't click on minus, or just the eye icon, just so that you can see what you have designed. So now you see the design we created, and it's like, okay. So what we are going to be doing to create the next screen, which is this one, come back here again to the frame and create a blank frame. Drag it close, drag it close. What is the next step? Like I always say, the next step is to add your auto layout. Come to the right hand, click on the plus button here. There is the first grid, change it to 8, change it to 8, and then close. Come here, come back here again, click on another plus, change it to the second one, right? Change it to column, and then change the size to 4, change it to 4, and then change this to 18. Let's 24. 24 is the best. 24. So with this, remember, when you are designing that, on no account should you pass these 4 lines. Like, don't pass them when you are designing. Just make sure anything you are designing is within this 4. Don't enter into your margin, please. So now it is white. So our color is white. So we don't need to change the color of this screen anymore. The only thing you are going to be working on now is to, how do we create this thing now? This particular blue stuff you are seeing here, how do you create it? There are several ways you can create this stuff you are seeing here, but I'm going to be using an easier one. If you notice, there is a curve, like it is curved here, it is curved, and then it is straight. It is curved at the end and it is straight above. What we are going to do, we are going to be using a rectangle. Like, we are going to be using a rectangle. There's something I did not show us the last time. Going to come here and click on rectangle, and then you might not really even use a rectangle, because I don't like using rectangles. But let's just even use frames. Click on frame, click on frame. First, stop, don't use rectangle, please. If you are designing this thing, when you are redesigning this thing, please don't use rectangle for me, I beg. Oh, just use frames. If anyone that cannot do with frame, just leave it. So I'm going to come back to this my frame and click on it. No, this time around you're not going to come here, because it is not an entire screen, it's just a little box we want here. So I'm going to just drag it. And make sure it starts from the beginning, and then change the color of this frame, the short frame. Change it to this color. Now if you notice, we have a problem. Our problem is that, unlike this particular one here, unlike this one that the bottom is curved, this one is not curved. So how do we get this curve? Like, how are we going to get this curve? Now, how you can get this curve is by using using this corner radius. We're going to be using the corner radius to change this, because there are 4 points in this frame. 1, 2, 3, 4 points. But we want these 2 points to change from being straight to becoming curved. What we are now going to do is this. We are going to come to our corner radius. Instead of typing, my battery is low, so we'll just finish with this and then we'll save this video for another day. So instead of changing it straight, we'll come to the side of the corner radius. Corner radius is what we are trying to do, is to customize the rectangle corners, so that only the 2 points down here will have a radius, the rest will be straight. So we'll come here and click here, and it is they are showing you there are 4 0 0, there is 1 2, 3, 4 zeros. The last 2 zeros are the last 2 points that we want to change. So I'm going to come here and change it to, just use any big number you want. I want to use 100 and 100 and 100. If you notice, or you can even make it, if 100 is too big, you can make it 48 and say 48. Okay, 48 is too small. Let's use 50. See, just be trying to get, let's use 80. Okay, I think 80 is better. 80 and 80. So we are going to be going with this one. So, but if you don't want it to can as well drag the rectangle. You know, I think dragging it will even make it better. I'm going to Control Z. What I'm going to do is, you can, if you, instead of dragging, if you don't understand the dragging part, just do the one I told you. Just make it, I'm trying to make it 100. 100. And then I will now drag it. So I'm going to now drag it this way. Or you can even make it 200 so that it will be perfect, as if it's a circle. Let me see if 200 will work. I think I'll use 200, but I'm going to drag it. But if you get confused, just use 80 and 80 and just do your thing. It must not be exactly looking like the one we have here. So that's what I just wanted to point out. So now you can now drag it. You notice anything that you drag outside the frame, outside my screen, my design screen will not show. So I'm going to leave it at this, and then I'm going to add the text, and then we'll continue in the next class. I think it is too short. We need to drag it down so that it will cover a good percentage of the screen. I'm going to drag it down, leave it here, and then come and add my text again. Good travel. Good, enter, travel, travel. Change the color of my travel. My eye, remember your control. Oh, you don't use eye here, please. Don't use eye for this one because it's a text you are typing. So just come here instead. Don't use eye. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go back to my this thing to make it perfect center. I'm going to come here now, click on horizontal center, and then drag it up a bit. Dots. So because of time, I will just call it a wrap and continue in our next class. We're going to continue the rest of this screen in our next class. Why is it not deleting? I don't understand anymore. So just leave it at that, make it the center, and then that is it. Move it so that you can see what you designed. You just put your eye button, and that's it. So in our next class, we'll continue with our design. Thank you for joining the class today. Have a great day. I'll keep this video will be on YouTube so that in case you want to refer back to the video.